Hey everyone, it's Liz, the Frugal Libertarian again. And I wanted to talk about something more current, and that is we now have had the chance to look through the Trump budget and see what he's doing, what he wants to cut, what he wants to add, that kind of thing. A lot of people are freaking out because he's making some significant cuts to a lot of federal agencies, and a lot of people online that I'm interacting with are freaking out, saying things like, we can't be without these agencies, the country's gonna fall apart, that kind of thing. Though to be honest, the worst reaction I've seen are from people who live in the DC area, so Maryland, Virginia, and Washington DC, who are sitting there going like, our property values are gonna drop, oh my god, our communities will be destroyed because these agencies will be hiring less people and people are gonna move, and oh my god, the inflated and bloated property values we've had because the government is here will go away, and what are we gonna do? We're gonna be like the rest of the country, like that kind of hysteria. I wanted to address more of the people who are absolutely freaking out about cuts to this federal agency and cuts to that federal agency and how that's going to kill us all. Most federal agencies are huge and not efficient. Because government doesn't praise savings, they don't praise frugality. If you don't spend the budget, you won't get that much and more next year, so you've got to spend it no matter what. You see this especially at the local level with like police departments who go out at the end of the year and buy all new cruisers because they've got to use the budget. That happened in the town my parents live in. When you look at the actual regulatory agencies that are potentially being cut, that's where people are really freaking out because they're saying, oh my god, you cut that, we're not going to be safe. Most regulatory agencies don't make you safer, and I'm sorry to say it. Most regulatory agencies are bureaucratic, crony capitalist agencies. The problem with our current regulatory system is that we think the only way you can work in the federal regulatory agency is if you have experience in the field you're going to be regulating. Basically, if you're the CEO of a pharmaceutical company or a food company, you take a leave of absence from that job and you go and work for the FDA. And then you'll come back to your private company again and somebody from another company will come in and do the job. So you have people with incredibly biased objectives running these regulatory agencies. Really, really biased. You have people coming from industries who are supposed to be regulated by that agency, and instead, they're the ones choosing the regulations and enforcing the regulations on everyone else. So you get a lot of regulations that are massively anti-small business, who are anti-competition, who are pro-cronyism. So that's one problem with a lot of these regulatory agencies, which to me, if they're cut, good. Maybe this will stop happening. The other one people are freaking out about is things like the FDA, where they're saying, oh my gosh, they make sure our food is safe, so we need the FDA. They don't. Put it this way. If there was no FDA, and you bought a bag of pre-washed, pre-cut salad mix, and you went home and ate it and got sick, and several other people got sick, what would happen? Well, the media would pick up that there are people getting sick, people would complain, doctors would complain, and local governments would take notice. Then the company that made the salad mix, or whatever other food product you want to name, would be trashed by the media and by the public. Either they would have to figure out a way to earn the public's respect and money back, or they'd go out of business. Keep in mind, most recalls are voluntary. Most food and health and pet recalls are done by the company because they start getting reports that something might be tainted. They notice something in their manufacturing process might have been bad. So they will voluntarily put out these recalls to get the products brought back and to give people back their money as a, again, public relations extension. That would happen without the FDA. The issue is that when you add the FDA, Once the recall has been issued, the FDA steps in and goes in and investigates and then certifies that whatever went wrong then is not going to go wrong again. So the products are now safe. You guys can feel comfortable, the public, you can feel comfortable that you can purchase and consume those products from that company. And what happens to the company? Nothing. They keep on doing business. In a free market system with no FDA, they would most likely go out of business, and another company who's doing things better, safer, different ways of cleaning things or preparing things that make it safer, they would take their place and they would have the chance to grow and thrive. The FDA props up the companies that already have harmed people and protects them so that they could keep on doing business. How is that not crony capitalism? The FDA doesn't have a good track record with medications that they approve and then people die and then they go, oh wait, we can't have that anymore. So they're looking at research, they're looking at tests done by the company that produces the drug. And that's what they're using as evidence, oh yeah, that's safe. So what happens is they go through, it's so many years depending on what kind of drug it is. It's X number of years between them starting to test it and then the FDA approving it. By the time the FDA approves it, again, that's all they've got to go on. So they'll approve it and then people take it. People get sick. Sometimes people die. Look at fen-phen. What happened with that? FDA approved of it. They approved it. They said it was safe for human consumption and kill hundreds of people just because they wanted to lose weight. Because again, they were going on the manufacturer's word and saying, oh yeah, look, you're testing. Oh, that looks good. We'll go with it. And then of course people die, and then only then does the FDA step in anyway and go, oh, well we shouldn't have this. Again, no FDA. Would we have snake oil salesmen? Probably. Do we have snake oil salesmen now? Yeah. They're called the herbal and supplement industry. So, do we have dangerous drugs on the market now? Yeah. Do we have potentially life-saving drugs that are not on the market because the FDA won't allow them on the market? Yeah. That's the other problem. If there are lobbyists or other industries that are potentially going to lose business because of your new treatment, your new medication, you're probably going to be denied the right to sell it. You're going to be denied by the FDA. Terminally ill people are being kept away from treatments that could help them because the FDA is afraid that the treatments might kill them. That is one of the most messed up things about the FDA, in my opinion, is that they do that. There's been fights over the last decade of people trying to get the ability to take experimental medications for the terminally ill. There has been some headway and there hasn't been. There's still a process you have to go through before you're allowed to try the medication. And the FDA can still say, no, we don't think you meet that criteria, so no, you can't have it. It's ridiculous. There are a lot of drugs that they use in Europe and in Asia that are much cheaper and possibly even safer than what we have here in the US, but because of the FDA and the crony capitalism going on, we'll never see them here. You're never going to get them here. And that's sad. It's a perpetuation of the status quo at the cost of people's health. It's a perpetuation of corporate interests at the cost of the individual's health. If the marketplace was running this, if this was a free market situation, dangerous products would still be weeded out. It's not 1890 anymore. We have the internet. We know that when the guy rumbles into town telling us his miracle tonic will solve all our problems, we no longer go, oh, okay, we believe you. We can go on Google and Google it and see if anybody has used it, if anybody's been harmed by it, has anybody seen a benefit of it before we hand him our money. You know, the whole idea that we need to be kept safe by this government agency, it doesn't exist. Tainted food still makes it to the marketplace. Tainted medications still make it to patients. Dangerous drugs are still approved for patient use. And potentially life-saving drugs and treatments are rejected. It's not our interests that these agencies run in. It's not. It's their own. It's creating more red tape to create more jobs for more bureaucrats. It's protecting their corporate interests, so when they leave the regulatory agency and go back to their corporate job, their profits have gone up. Their stock value has gone up. It's a whole scummy crony capitalist system going on. It's the worst form of government cronyism. This is one step past just lobbyists. These are people who literally are controlling the gateway into industry, and they're in that industry. They're the ones controlling the gateway into the system for everyone else. Honestly. And I've talked to people and they're not willing to admit that this is harmful. They're not willing to sit there and talk about it. They're not willing to have an honest conversation about it. They're more looking at, well, after the tainted food was sold, the FDA promised us the new food was healthy and safe. And again, so basically when that company poisons people, the government should intervene and tell everybody, no, their products are now safe, you can keep consuming them, so that company keeps going in business? No, that's not how a market's supposed to work. It isn't. And that's the problem. It's government forced control of a marketplace under the guise of keeping us all safe. And I'm sorry, that was kind of more of an anti-FDA ramble. It really applies to most of the regulatory agencies. The EPA has its uses, but the fact that the EPA has a SWAT team, there are so many other agencies out there with the same issue. Too much funding, too much bureaucracy, too much red tape, too little oversight, and too much cronyism. So if the proposed budget is going to cut their funding and reduce those problems, thank you for watching this video. Please leave me a comment down below and tell me which is your least favorite government agency, the one that you would like to see slashed, because I'd be curious to see what you think. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you have any nightmare stories about dealing with any government agency, please let me know that too, because I'd be interested to hear it. I will talk to you soon. Have an awesome day. Bye.